What's going on? We're on to journey number 30, and I've got Mikey as my new co-producer. If you haven't seen, he was introduced into the audio session. We worked out the next scene, all the audio, so now we're going to build all the sets. We just built out the city street view here. And now we're going to do the park view. But what I needed to do first is I'm going to grab a snippet of this. So I've got some of that sky because I'm going to need that. So
why do you need a snippet of that sky?
Because I need that blue color.
You just want to make sure it's the same blue?
Yeah. So I'm going to go to a new scene. And I'm going to put it in Toon, libraries, stages here. And then we're going to call this park. And
you're creating a new one.
Yeah, we're making the new one.
I was like, that's a street corner.
Yeah. So this is labeled drawing, but I'm going to rename this sky. And go to my color palette. I'm just going to start getting rid of this extra stuff I don't use. We'll take the black. We'll just make a big old square. And then we're going to add in a new color. That new color is going to be that sky. And let's do this. That's going to be there.
Can you just save colors in your color palette as like words?
Yeah.
And that's how you'll locate it?
Yeah, this will be sky. But I'm going to use this dropper and grab the blue. And now it's in the... No, I don't. Now it's in there, and I can just dump it in, and there's my sky.
Gotcha.
Right?
I won't remember that, but gotcha.
Yeah. So this scene is just going to be pretty simple. So let's go to the node view, and we're gonna start adding some layers in just to get set up. So we're gonna do. We'll need the grass, which we're not gonna use that crazy grass. We're gonna do a tree. Tree 1. We'll do 2 trees. Let's see. We're gonna do yoga mat. Right? And what else we want in that scene? I'll add in the clouds from the assets.
So when you're in node view and you're creating are these all different layers?
Yeah, so right now it's you see it's add drawing layer.
Yeah.
And I'm adding all of them as vectors.
Okay.
And so right now it's just adding them here.
Okay, and then you can pull them out.
Yeah. So I'm going to have the grass above the sky, and then I'll have the first tree above the grass, and then the second tree above the first tree. But they're not going to overlap.
And if you were to have left them all in composite, they just wouldn't have been in different layers. Is that correct?
I don't know what you mean.
Like how they all started down there, or were they just laying over each other?
Oh, they're just nodes hanging out, and you can't see them until you connect them to the composite.
Okay.
So they're essentially deactivated.
Okay.
They're just nodes hanging out. Like if I drew something on this layer and it's not connected, you wouldn't see it.
Okay.
In the
and
composite.
They were just all showing up over the composite as you created.
Yeah.
That's why. Okay.
Yeah.
That's what I wasn't sure if they were like in that file or if that's just where they were
like
showing
if
up.
I was up here and I said Control R, so like I might want to add some birds and then just hit add.
Okay.
It'll just add it in a place.
It just so happened to be where we were on the page.
Yeah.
Got you.
Yeah, so we'll add some birds and something. So we'll start with those. And those all show up down here. And now you see, like, this is the bottom layer, a little bit above it. And, and like I showed you before, is the layering of this won't matter if you end up moving it in a three-dimensional thing, because then that 3D information is going to, like, completely mess this up. So when they're layered like this, it's such a super tiny amount of how far above it is.
Right. Yeah, like in 3D, you're still just going to see lines at a certain angle of all those images.
Well, what I'm saying is, like, when you're layering this way, they're all on that one 2D plane.
Right.
And the grass will be above the sky. The tree will be above the grass. Right?
Okay.
But if you then took the grass and moved it three-dimensionally in front of the tree, you'll still be hooked up this way, but it won't matter. The layering of that won't matter because you've moved it. But when you do it this way, it's layered that way, but it's on a super thin, small, flat layer.
Okay.
So let's do the grass. I was just thinking kind of a hill. Whoops. Let me get my black color. Just thinking kind of a hill. A little bit like that. And then we need to draw a line so we can fill in the color. And then we'll add in this. We'll call this grass. And we'll make it green. And we'll dump that in. And I kind of want it. Oh, no, that's fine. But then what I'm going to do is I'm going to add in, like, blades of grass. Then I'm just going to go, like, 2 shades darker. And then add in a pencil. And then just, like, do some grass stuff.
Grass stuff.
Yeah. Just make it a little more like that. Oops. That one's ugly. Right? So it's just the grass. And this is our shot, right? So we're all good there. Okay, and then let's see. Let's draw a tree. Actually, you know what? I want to get those clouds in. So in my library, I saved those clouds as an asset. So if you go to the node view,
so
you can drag in these clouds that I made before.
You've probably already talked about this, I'm sure, in previous recordings you've done.
Mm-hmm.
So when you're looking in the node view from like left to right, is that determining what layer is on top of what layer?
Yes.
Okay.
That's what I was trying to explain is, and it depends on where it's connected on here, not necessarily where these are.
Gotcha. Yeah.
Like this could be over here, but it's connected.
Yes.
In this order here.
I see what you're saying.
Yeah.
And so
I just try to organize them so
is
that
it a left to right? Right is over, or
left is the top most layer.
Way. Okay.
The right is the bottom most.
Got you.
And you'll see that reflected down here, where the sky is here, and then the clouds nodes, and then the grass, and so here it makes more sense. You're like, oh, this one's on top.
Yes.
But the node view allows you to like do the more complicated things, like adding cutters and stuff. Ungroup that. Let's just add some peg information. So I got some clouds in. And now it's like I want to add some trees in. I don't know if I want to do some far depth trees or not, which maybe I'll do it like that. Let's do tree 1 above the grass, but tree 2 we're going to do like behind the grass, like far away, like behind the horizon
like it's
of the grass. So let's draw in tree 2. Let's go to color. We'll do black. And we'll just do the pencil. We'll just draw in a tree back here. Oh, fucking. Let's just get the other side up here. You just kind of do this stuff. So we're going to end up drawing over these anyways, but I need to close this. Whoops. Yeah, if I go to drawing, then you just see the tree, right?
Mm-hmm.
I can do that. Then if I go back to my camera, I'm there. Let's just add in a brown. Let's call this tree bark. Let's go multi-wheel. Let's go to orange. Dark orange is brown. Let's go something like this.
So when you're saving colors for a color palette, is it going to save those in your color palette always or just for each project?
Oh, what happened there? You know what? I'm going to draw a new tree because that is ugly as fuck. Sorry, what?
So when you're saving specific colors for, like, you're saving the tree bark as that specific shade of brown, is that permanently in your color palette, or is that just per project it's going to save those things
every
for you?
project. So like right now I'm in my park project.
Right.
And this is my color palette for the park project. When I added those clouds in, they're from the color palette Ocean Waves. So Ocean Waves palette is in here.
Okay. So it's per project those colors are being saved.
Yeah. And then also on that Ocean Waves project, I had Jake in that project. And then for some reason it pulled that color palette in here too. So there's more color palettes on here. The topmost one is the one that's going to override everything else. But you can grab colors out of these and like copy those and put them into here.
Okay.
But yeah.
So they're transferable, but they are saving.
Yeah.
Per
you can
each
add
project.
and import color palettes. You can like make color palettes and then save them as like things that you want to use constantly. So like how my branded stuff is all the same colors, and I keep them as their hex numbers. So if I put these numbers in, those are the exact color to use. But yeah, you can save them as palettes too.
Got you.
But I'm less concerned with that because I don't care how it looks. My level of care is
Minimal.
Yeah, very minimal. So I'm gonna draw a tree. All right,
Not so minimal that last tree didn't suck.
Yeah, that tree was real bad. I'm just gonna do this. It was all mostly because of I just wanted. When I filled the color, it filled it in 3 different spots, and what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna make this a gradient. So let's go back to that. I'm gonna call this tree bark. So, right, so then I dump that into here. And what I'm gonna do then is turn this into a gradient, and then I'm gonna select this one. I'm gonna go like a shade lighter and lighter. now that this is a gradient, squish this down. And then maybe I'm gonna make the darker side down there. So it gives it a little bit of a fade. It's barely noticeable, but like you do notice it. And then I'm gonna add just like bark lines. Right, and then I'm gonna go back to just a solid. Or I guess I could use a gradient. No, let's go back to a solid. Just go a little darker.
I need to step out for a quick sec. Do you want me to pause it or just carry on?
No, I'm gonna keep going. I'm just gonna draw the stuff over it. So I'm actually gonna reuse these grass colors. You know what? I'm gonna draw the outside with the blades colors. So let me just kind of. Right? Let's dump in the grass color there. Actually, here's what we're going to do. We're going to cut out this stuff inside of there. Let's get rid of that, and that, and that, and that, and that. And now let's dump that in. Oops. Okay, that's kind of cool. It's a pretty terrible tree, but that's fine. We're going to just get this done because we're so far behind in this whole thing. You know what? I'll just take this. Let's just dump it in there. Yeah, that works for me. Okay, and go back to my pencil and... Now stuff is disappearing. I don't know why that is. Is it that? It's not that. Okay, now it's not disappearing. Oh, yeah, little specks and dots and specks and dots. You know what? Maybe we'll just make some more of that and just get rid of this black. Yeah. Maybe do this. Okay, so we got one tree in the back. Let's move on to a tree in the front. Because this one I want to get some more like roots-ish things going on. And then maybe we can draw some blades of grass kind of things over it. So this one, let's see. Let's go like this. Whoops. My hand got a little wiggly there. Right. I'll end up covering that up. Right, that's pretty cool. So let's dump in tree bark. Let's do some bark lines. Whoa, that's not a pencil. Right? Let's just go ahead and do some like blades of grass, like some like. Oh, that looks bad. Some stuff like that, right? So it blends in a little bit. Okay, now let's do. Let's do it like this. Oh boy. Oops. Oops. I'm doing this terribly. Right. Then we'll dump this in. Oops. Let's get that cutter in here. Cut all this out. Dump this in. Go to the blades. Do some like pencil stuff. Okay. All right. And since this is like such a simple scene, it doesn't have to be crazy. So a lot of times, like if you really want to play with a scene, like you can make it as big as this square here, the big one.
Yeah.
And that way you can move your camera around in the scene and all that. But this is just for like a 5-second shot.
I was so confused with the one part of the tree when I walked in and then realized, I was like, oh wait, that's out of the scene.
Yeah. So the camera view is pretty much just I think it's gonna be pretty stationary on this one. Yeah, so let's, I don't know, do a yoga mat. Let's just do a square. And so I think...
Do you want that sun showing back up in scenes like this? I wasn't sure if that was going to be a reoccurring background character.
He will. I just think for this set of scenes, it's going to be...
just happened.
It's going to be a little too much.
Yeah.
They're going to be like, is this the same spot kind of a thing?
Well, the sun is the same.
I understand that. I understand that. We could put it just in the corner and not really see it, but...
Yeah, I could care less. I was just curious.
Yeah. Yeah. So a lot of times too, so I'm going to call this matte. And let's do it like a pinkish, purplish, maybe a little saturated, or it's not saturated, but yeah, saturated. So like when I'm doing this, it's all on the line art layer.
Mm-hmm.
Whoops. Gotta select the color. Now, if I wanted it to be separated, I would have to so it needs the lines from the line art to know where to dump the color.
Yep.
But then I can select it.
Is that what that second one down there is? Then is always your line art layer.
So there's line, then there's color art, right? So if I'm on the color art layer now and I try to select something, there's nothing on this layer.
Because there's nothing on that layer.
Yeah, so everything's on the line art layer. So if I select this, I'm selecting
those lines.
The line and the color because the color is on that layer, right? Okay. So if I just click on this, it's just grabbing the purple out of there. But what I want to do is if I'll copy it and then delete it from that layer and then go to the color art layer and then paste it. And now the color, now I can go like this and that's just the color from the color art. And if I go to the line art layer, it's just the lines from the line art, right?
Okay.
If I want to, now that it's separated, see, this is where like you kind of like, oh, I want to edit both. Like I want to change the angle of this corner, right? But now everything's separate. So if I wanted to edit it and I edit the line, it's not changing the color art. You can use this. So this button here, if I hover with this, it says applied tool to line and color art. So it's basically allows me to select both. And now I can select both and still modify it, but they're still separated.
That's that button's
That's
sole
this
purpose.
button, yes. So you got to watch out to whether this is engaged or not, because sometimes you'll
not realize and be
sometimes you'll be drawing and you're like, why the fuck is this not working? And then, yeah. So there's a lot of stuff like that. You gotta, if something's not working, check if that's engaged. Check which layer you're on.
Yep.
Inside of this with whatever one you're selected. Check where you're at in your timeline. Yeah,
which I kind of slowly but surely learned that making a still the other day.
It took me like, it's taken me over a year to figure it out. And
so is your first step every time, if at all possible, to just go straight to node view, separate out your layers that you can foreseeably see needing to be in it right off the cuff before you even go into the creating process?
Okay. Yeah, I like having an idea in my head. I'm like, I'm going to add all these things. Let's just type that all out. Or I'll do it here. You can add.
Because I couldn't fathom what I was trying to do while creating a still the other day. But now the second that I watched you do that, I'm like, oh. Yeah. Like, if I would have created those things, I would have understood what I was doing where already. Yeah. Like, had I pre-set up layers, I would have understood that better, I think.
Yeah, if you go into it knowing what you want to do,
yeah,
you can separate it out better. Or you can do it down here too. You can just do this and you add a drawing, which is Control R, and then. So you can just type whatever, hit enter, and then this will stay up because it just does the add when you hit enter. Mm-hmm. And then on your last one, you can do add and close or just close it out, right? So that's what I'll do. Like when we go to do the character stuff, I'll just go through all the body parts and just make those layers there. And then so all the nodes there are ready for whenever I get to that thing that we're going to do. Like I'll add in the upper arm, the lower arm, the hand layer, the head, the neck, the shoulders, the legs, the feet, the eyes, the eyebrows, the mouth, everything.
I had a very Ed Gein vision, as you said. Going through all of the body parts.
Yeah, pretty much. This mat looks a little too boring, so I'm going to add a gradient. I kind of just like the idea of just it's like adding shading, but cheating. Right?
Is there other effects that also create that same cheat for you?
I mean, so there's different ways of doing the shading and lighting. So if I wanted to add more light to this side of the tree.
We can wait too, and if there's a point in which you're getting to that, we can just get to that then. So let me just do that. Let me add some light to this side of the tree. So here's what I'm going to do. For one, let's go to this tree here, tree number 1.
So I didn't separate the colors from the line art, right? So I'm going to select this color art, which ends up adding in these lines as well. Okay, stop that. So I'm going to copy that. I'm going to delete it. Oh, it actually didn't get the lines. That's good. And then I'm going to go to the color art layer, and I'm going to paste it in, right? So now that this brown fill.
So you deleted it from the line art?
Actually, let me go back. I'm going to go back to the line art. I want to get the fill plus these lines. So everything I just selected there, the fill and the lines, I'm going to copy that. Now I'm going to delete it. And then I'm going to paste it into the color art layer, right? And now, so now you can see that it's just that, right?
Yes.
It's just that on that layer. Oops. And when you see this blue, those are stroke marks. If you just hit K, it turns that off.
Okay.
Yeah, if you hit K, you can just...
Is it helpful to see your stroke marks?
So sometimes it does when you're you do invisible stroke lines. So like, say if I wanted to make an arm, but the upper part of the arm, I want the color art to mesh with the torso. You can just do an invisible stroke line so that you can do a fill onto it.
Okay.
But we'll get to that at some point. So now I want to add lighting to that because I didn't want to affect this line, the black line, right? But I want to do this very sloppy. So let's just show you this. I'm going to, now that I have that color art on that art, I'm going to do on the overlay art. Actually, let's see. Let's do it. Yeah, okay. Yep, I'm going to do it this way. So the overlay art is where I'm going to do my lighting. So I'm going to go to the black here. I'm going to add a new one. And for lighting, instead of doing black and white for lighting, it's better to kind of do yellow and purple.
Yellow as your light.
Yeah, purple as your shading. Yeah, because it feels better. It feels more natural. And then what I'm going to do is I'm going to change the opacity. So if I was to draw now on this, it's bright yellow. So I want to change that to where it's just like kind of see-through.
Yep. That's with the opacity.
Yeah, so that's the alpha on here. So it changes the opacity, right? So I'm just going to get it to about right there. I'm going to call this tree shading or tree light. Okay. And that's on the overlay layer of this tree. But I want to do this very messy. So right now that light color comes over this.
Yeah.
And I don't want that to be a thing. So
you just want it on the tree?
Yeah, I just want it on the tree. So I'm going to do my brush. And I'm going to up my size quite a bit. So I can do this fast. And I'm going to do it like this. Right. Now you can see it's very messy.
Yep.
So what I'm going to do is I'm going to cut that out by using the color art layer. So I'll show you how that works. So this tree needs to be split up into its different sublayers. Okay. So that's where we're going to go to the node library. We're going to need a cutter. We're going to need the line art layer. We're going to need the color art layer. And we're also going to need the overlay layer. So we're going to connect our drawing layer. We're going to get the line art layer on there. We're going to take the color art from there, and we're going to put it underneath the line art because we want that. Because the color art layer, let me show you something. So right now, the color art layer goes to the center line of that pencil. So if I switch these around and put the color art layer over it, oh, whoops. Does that work? Let's see if I got rid of the line art layer. Oh, that's weird. Oh! I did it to the wrong tree. Whoops. So if you hold Alt, if you grab something and hold Alt, you can just pull it out.
Move it out.
Now it's got 2 lines. Whoopsies. All right. Tree. Put that one in there. Boop, boop, right? We'll just do this. So you can't see the lighting because the overlay layer is now not in there. We only have the line and the color art. So now if I put the color art layer over the line art, you can see that it goes to the center of that line.
Yep.
All right, so now we got the overlay. We'll connect it to that, and we'll put the overlay over the line art, right? Because that's the order it's supposed to be in, right? Now, actually, we want for this purpose, we want the line art to be over that, right? So now you can see the black line is over this, but we still got all this mess out here, right? The line art's on the top. So we've got our color art, which is the tree. We've got our light. We've got the line art. We need to get that outside stuff off. So we're going to cut the overlay layer with the color art layer. But now it's cutting it from the inside. That's a forward cut. If you double click this, it inverse cuts. So only over the color art layer you can see the light. So now you can only draw inside of that color art layer, which is the cutter is probably the most useful tool.
Really?
Yeah. As far as like, you can end up like you could create masks. So like if I wanted something to come behind, out of this tree, or like put a hole in here in the tree and something comes out of the hole. Now that I'm doing that, you could put a mask here so that, and make it invisible by not connecting it to the composite and having that cut a layer of something else so it looks like it's coming out of kind of nowhere.
Okay.
Yeah. We'll do some things like that along the lines, I'm sure. And now I just don't like how bright that light is. I'm going to bring it down just a little bit more. It's a little more subtle. Kind of looks stupid, but that's how you can do some types of shading and lighting.
Got you.
But yeah, if I go to the color art, change my gradient on my bark, I can... Right. That actually looks pretty terrible. That looks a little better. Oh. Yeah. So, what else did we have? We had
birds.
I could do that shitty bird that I had before.
You just like import it basically.
Yeah, I could go. What you do is you get whatever you want to have into a group. So what I did was for the clouds, I wanted the drawing layer plus the peg information, and that would also copy anything that happened in the timeline. So these clouds, it copied that there's clouds exposed all the way out to here. And if I had any movement on the peg information, that would also transfer over. But I didn't do the scene yet, so there's no movement or animation in there yet. But what you do is whatever you want to keep as a group, you group it, and then you can save that group as a node, and then you can save it into your library, and that way you can pull it in.
Always just pull it if you want to reuse it.
Yeah.
So would you do keep like your bird and your clouds in like a group?
Yeah. So I have my library consists of different folders. So I have assets, which is like I have the ship or some lockers or just, I can keep anything in here. Just little things that I'll probably reuse, or like if I make a scene and then all of a sudden I was like, oh, I made that already, and some other thing, I'll just go to that project, save it as an asset, put it in there. But yeah, I could, if I wanted to, be like, oh, I'm just going to save this tree, or I'm going to save this. But because I'm not spending time just like making a really nice tree, I'm not going to save this.
That tree isn't pulling at your heartstrings.
It's fine in the shot, but
This is what Joe sees when he looks outside and sees trees.
Yeah. Actually, let's do a quick pause, and then we'll go on to the birds. So, okay, you're good. Yeah. All right. So I'm gonna do this bird. I'm gonna do the same simple M bird, but we're gonna do this a little bit differently. So we're gonna change this to bird left wing, and we're gonna add bird right wing and close. And then I'm gonna add a peg, so they're both pegged to the same thing, and then they're good. The reason why I'm doing that is because I want a deformation chain on each layer, and you can only add in one deformation chain per layer. So
you have to do them as different layers?
Yeah, so here's what I'm going to do. I'm going to go to color, select black, and what was I on? We're going to go left wing. Let's just draw a straight black line. I'm going to hold shift so it's perfectly horizontal. And then I'm going to go right wing, do the same thing so it's perfectly horizontal. And then I'm actually going to, I got a little bit off. Let's get them just like that, right? All right, and then I'm going to take that one off of there. Just deactivate it for a second. So now I'm going to go up here. This is called the rigging tool. If I click that and go to tool properties, now it gives me the option to put in different types of deformation chain stuff. So if you do a bone will make it in a straight line and act as like a bone would. As
bones do.
Yeah. In this case, I want to do it as a curve. If you say had like a shape like this cloud, you could do an envelope. And what you do is you create a line around the whole envelope, and then you can like deform it as like a thing in all the different places. In this case, we're going to do a very simple
just bend
curve because we're only going to use 2 points. So we're going to have this one. And now if I click down, oops. Okay, so the first one that you do is going to be the base. And that's the center of the bird's going to be over here. So I'm going to click down and I'm going to pull it this way because this tells it where the arm is going to go, the handle that allows you to bend stuff. And then I'm going to click down over here to put in another node and have the arm go this way. So since it's red right now, if I clicked anywhere else, it adds in another point, but I don't want any more. But this allows me to edit when the rigging tool is selected. So now I can change where this line is because this line is where the deformation is going to occur from. These are just handles. Whoops. These out here are just handles to change where that line is. Mm-hmm. And this is your base. You see this little circle, and then this allows you to change direction, and then this allows you to change the base of it, the movement part of it. So I'm gonna undo both of those. This is about where I want it to be. And then if you go to the transformation tool, you see it changes it to green and yellow. So whatever node I select, I can now move it, and it affects the drawing underneath it. Right?
Correct.
Okay, so now I'm going to activate this one. I'm going to hide this one, and I can... Oops. I'm going to hide this layer. I'm going to go here. I'm going to do the same thing. Rigging tool, curve editor. I'm going to start the base on this side. Put an arm about right there. Add in my second point. Pull the arm to about right there. And get that centered up just a little bit better. Actually, probably center this up a little bit better. We'll call that good. And we'll hit the transformation tool to get out of the edit mode. We'll enable the other one, and now they're both there with their own layers. So this is now my bird.
Yeah, it is.
Right? Pretty neat stuff. Okay, and okay, so we've got these 2 layers. Now if I expose the layers, let's do this. Let's go. Let's just I'm gonna hit shift, and then I'm gonna highlight everything in the timeline, and then go to exposure and just I'm gonna say fill empty cells, and now everything that was selected, all of these cells have exposed drawing layers in them. So we've got 60 frames now, right? So let's drop all this bird layer information, right? So we've got the right wing with its first curve and its base node. Same thing with the other one, right? And then yeah, so what we want to do is create a cycle. So right now, both of them have keyframe informations for the start of this. So let's go in a few frames. And now, because we're going to do tweening now. So let's go up some frames, probably about right there. We're going to add in some keyframes. It would have added them if I just moved stuff. So now I kind of want them to go like, say here. Right? And we're pretty much just going to move the wings up. So now when I scroll across the timeline, you can see that it moves. It goes from the first position to the second position. And now I'm going to go to like about a third of a position right there. And now I don't have to put in the keyframes. If I move stuff, you see it pops in keyframes. So now I kind of want to go like this. I'm gonna have them flap down. Right? And now the base points didn't put keyframes in, but I'm just going to add them in just for consistency. Then I'm going to have it all the way down. So I want like a down flap. Right? Kind of a little more like this. Maybe even like pointed in. Right? So it goes from here, it goes whoom. And then I want this first position back again. So I'm going to copy this node and paste it probably about right there. Same thing here. I'm going to copy this one and paste it there. Now this can be my new cycle. So if I copy this and paste it here. Oops. Let's copy all this. Paste it here. And we'll do the same thing here and here. And now the bird flaps. Right?
Sure does.
And then we've got this master peg up here, which is what we're going to use to bring it across the sky. So it needs to be behind this tree. I want it in front of this tree. Let's go back to the node view here quick and get this figured out. I want this tree. So now you see how we have like 3 layers going to there, and it makes it a little more unorganized. If I hit Control H, that puts them on a new composite. Whoops.
So say you wanted your bird to start and fly up in front of a tree and then go behind it. Would you have to create 2 layers of the bird?
Wait, say that again?
So say your bird was flying by and you wanted to give it the perspective of it kind of flies towards the tree and then drops behind it. Would you have to create 2 layers for your bird then? Like, would you have to create 2 different nodes in your node?
Like if it was flying and then it went behind it?
Yeah.
Like around the tree?
Yeah. Or like say it went up over it and drops down behind, or yeah, either of those 2 options.
No. What you can do is like what I would do is I would end up doing a 3D move.
Okay.
So like normally if I built a nice set out, I would separate the layers 3-dimensionally anyways, especially if I'm going to move the camera. Because when you move the camera and things are at different places in 3D, you see them shifting behind each other and it creates a depth field. So here's what I'm doing with this tree. I want this tree to be above the bird and the yoga mat and all this stuff, right? Whoops. Move this over here. And what I did then was I put this on its own composite layer, and that way it can just be on there without the same thing. I'm going to do the same thing with the bird. I don't want there to be 2 lines to the composite. So like this, I'll call this tree composite or tree comp. And I'm also going to change the mode to a pass-through. So if it's a bitmap, what it does is it turns it into a pixelated picture. And if I do a pass-through, it's just letting the vectorization go through to this composite. So that's the tree. And then what you could do here is you could just group it and then just call this group tree 1, right? And now all of that mess is just inside of here, right? And it can be that way. I'm going to do the same thing here. I'm going to hit Control H. I'm going to pull these lines out. I'm going to change this to bird comp. And I'll change it to a pass through. Right, so we got the tree now above the bird. And so now we've got the bird. I'm going to change this to bird master, so I know it's the master peg.
Master.
And then I'm going to change the peg point by grabbing the center of the peg. So if you grab anywhere else, you'll move it. But if you grab the peg, I'm going to center it right there. Because if I wanted to rotate it, now my peg point is different. If I wanted to scale it, it scales it from that center point. Yeah. But I really just want it right now. So right now you can also see the deformation chains. So if you hit your transform button, you can hide your deformation chains with that. So now you won't see it. So now you can just see that. Oh, that bird looks so much better than my other bird. I'll probably take this bird
and put it
into the other one.
Scene.
Yeah, because it's so much better. Like, let's see it play out. Yeah. That's about the right speed. So getting the timing down right is also important.
Should label this file Operation Condor.
Something like that, yeah. So now we're going on to this peg information. So I'm going to start this bird maybe here. And then by the time it finishes, we'll want it over here. So now it goes behind this tree. So now we see it fly. Bloop, bloop, bloop. Oh, yeah, it's a good bird, right?
It's a good bird.
It's a good bird, but
good bird.
Now you see it's like, it doesn't have its lift, right? So.
What do you mean? Like it's not rising?
So yeah, so you see how when it gets all the way down, I want this thing to be up. And then when it goes to the other height, I want this to be down a little bit in its path. Then we'll do the same thing like here. Go up a little bit.
Is that just creating like kind of a bob?
Yeah, pretty much. So I had first made my start point and end point, and now I'm going in and putting little details into the master peg. Down.
And could you, if you wanted to, have it...
So now it looks more like this.
Could you, while it's flying in the way that it is now, like, make it bigger as it got closer to you as well?
Yes.
Yeah.
So
just by dragging the whole image out, like
so
you
with this
showed
master
before.
peg. So what I would want to do is before I put these bobs in. So what I can do is actually, if I go over these keyframes, I can just hit F7 and that deletes the keyframe information. And so when you're here, you want this to be bigger. Where it ends up, you want it to be smaller. So if I hit the scale button and I make the bird smaller, if I hold shift, it'll not distort it. So say I want the bird to be smaller. So now as it's going, it's just getting smaller and smaller. We can even start here, but like bigger.
And then you could do that reverse as well, where it looks like it's flying towards you.
Yes.
Could fly it into the tree.
Actually, we want a huge bird. Let's get a big old bird. And then you can see it getting smaller a lot better, right? but I want it to end up behind the tree, so let's put that up there. Now it looks like this. Gets smaller. And now I can put those bumps in the path.
You want to do that last after your path has
Yeah.
been created.
Yeah, because otherwise, like, if I tried to scale it, it won't do it. It'll just go from that first peg to the next one. So it's where the key information is.
Okay.
So now it's holding this information. Now I want to add the details in between.
Got you.
Yeah, so there's an order of operations of kind of the things you want to do.
Yes.
So yeah, I'm gonna bring this down a little there, and then that's the bottom one. It's gonna come up, and then top one come down. Bottom flap come up, and then top point come down, and then bottom, because he's lifted himself up, and then
Oh, you're an expert in bird mechanics now, are we?
yeah, bird law.
Bird law.
Yeah. So now it's like this. You can see him thrusting himself up into the air a little bit more. My silly little bird. Right? And, that bird probably won't happen right away. We'll end up like grabbing the whole chunk and moving it back. Yeah. And then we'll have it come into the scene and just fly by or something like that. And we'll have the clouds slowly move. I don't want to build out too much because I want to keep this as a set if we use it again.
Yes.
And then my other thought too was to have shadowed characters in the front here. Let's just go ahead and do that.
What do you mean by that?
So it's going to be like they're in the foreground.
Oh, like because she's teaching
they're going to be like
class.
A blurred shadow.
Because she's teaching yoga.
Yeah. So we're going to do that. Let's go to the node view. And since they're going to be in the foreground, they're going to be over everything. So I'm going to, oops. All right. Add layers. So we got person right and person left. Add and close. Left and right. Actually, you know what I'm going to do here? So I already know I'm going to do the same effects on them. So I'm going to do foreground comp. I'm going to do this as a pass through. And we'll put that here. So let's go to person right. And let's you know what? I think I'm gonna use Jake and Gigi, but I'm gonna do some things to them.
So you can't distinguish that it is them?
Yes, exactly. So I'm gonna go to characters, drop that down. Go GGV2. Now just drag her in as her group. Right, let's get rid of that. We'll put her on the foreground. Now Gigi, if I solo her, she's outside. So when I create my characters, I create them twice as big as the scene for deformation purposes. If I make my drawing smaller and then I put a deformation chain on it, a deformation chain, you can end up breaking the lines, and it's way easier to break the lines on a smaller
Got you.
A smaller thing. So like if I have her torso, right, and I check out this main deformation. And I bend her up. And I take this and I bend her. See how eventually these lines break?
Yes.
Yeah, it'll happen a lot sooner if the drawing is smaller. Yeah. I love that bone setup.
Can they do that in real life? Is that
Totally.
That's part of the Gigi and Jake's motion.
So what I want is she's gonna be on the right. So I want this. Actually, that's gonna look really bad. The head shape is not good.
Yeah, you might be able to tell they're not of
human.
This world.
Yeah, but maybe I'll reshape the head. So we'll put her there like that, and then what I want to do is I'm gonna hit F5 to expose everything, and I'm gonna add a peg to it. What do you mean I can't add a peg? Oh. Right, I have to go in. So this is Gigi. Then you have a body peg right there. Okay. Her, she's missing a multi-port in, that's why. So let's get the multi-port in inside of there. And she's missing this part for you to be able to have this little green dot. That's why I couldn't add a peg. Now I can add a peg outside of it. So if we go back to our timeline, now we have this peg layer, which means I can recenter this, move her here, scale her down, right? And then let's unsolo her. Now it looks like she is probably, okay, even though it says like it's on top here, she seems to be behind stuff because we can't see her. So if I go to my transformation
tool. Is that because
tool,
she is behind stuff?
She is, yes. So now I'm affecting the 3D layer, so we're looking at it from the top.
I see.
So this line is pretty much everything here, and now this little yellow line is her coming towards the camera. The camera, your field of view is anything in this triangle. So let's just do this.
Are you gonna see their skin tone and stuff? Or
no,
so make it like shadows.
Yeah, I'm gonna use some different node effects. So I'm gonna put her there, and then we're gonna do the same thing with Jake, maybe. Yeah, let's get rid of that. So this is probably a terrible idea, since they have. Maybe we'll change the shape of her head or something, and we'll add some terrible hair. But this allows us to get shoulders and arms and stuff in there like really easily and quickly. So let's.
Would there be a way to create a rig, like a character rig, using one of their existing bodies in a rig without a head, and just have that saved as a file to where you could constantly be adding like bystanders with new faces and shit like that just to an existing working body?
Yeah, you can create like any type of like template. Like say you just wanted to create a character template that has no drawings on it, but the rig is built out.
Yeah.
I don't like doing that because it's just messy. I like to build from the ground up. But that's me. let's see. I want this. No, I want which angle? I want that angle. So let's delete these. Let's delete these. Grab this one over. Grab this, hit F5, right? And then I actually want to change this arm. Oops. No, I also want to change this hand. Let's just bend this down and needs to be more relaxed.
A balled up fist yoga.
Yeah.
No, just, clench your fists.
Right. He is just going to be a shadow, but so we're going to recenter this peg, and then move him here. And we'll scale him down to kind of match her, right?
Having him be a different size kind of adds even a different depth to it, too.
Yeah, I was kind of thinking that, too.
At first, I was like, oh, that's way bigger. And then I was like, actually, that kind of...
Right, and then kind of have him more off to the side. Let's do the same thing with her. Because you really want to focus on the center there. And then here's what we're going to do in the node view. We're going to take this and we're going to... Actually, we're going to go node library. We're going to just go to shadow. Drop that in and we'll put it in line. Whoa. Okay, because now you can see all the layers. That's pretty interesting. So here's what we can do. Instead of here, okay. So you can see all the layers because this is a pass-through. If we change this to bitmap, and now what that does is it turns them into one flat image. And then we can change the shadow on it. And it's still kind of weird.
All right, so are these trying to look like actual shadows?
Now, if I go to render, it looks like that. Oh, that's interesting.
So are they supposed to be actual casted shadows?
No. It's just supposed to be like dark.
Dark, right.
Yeah, so if I go down to the alpha, maybe change it to 0. No, maybe change it to 1,000. How about 999? Oh my gosh. Oh my gosh. All right, so that one kind of doesn't work. Here's what we'll do. We'll take that out. Oh my goodness. Get out of there. Get out of there. We'll delete that. Instead of that, we'll go with grayscale. Grayscale. All right, let's put that in. Let's see if we can't. No. That doesn't work either. I want it to all be flat. There's got to be something. Oh, you know what I can do? Let me put that shadow back in here. What I can do is have a grayscale, and then I can have a shadow on top of that grayscale. Oh, that didn't really work. Let's go black. Yeah. That's what I want. get away with that? I can get away without doing that. That's cool. That's how you do it. And then I want to blur. We're going to do a Gaussian blur. Or a Gaussian? Gaussian. Right. I'm going to go bring that blur up. Come on, render. Let's really bring the blur up. What is truck factor? Let's go to 44. There we go. Is that it? No, that's way too much blur.
Looks like something out of the X-Files now. Could be useful later.
What's 25 blur? It's better. It's not what I want. Let's go to 7. It's just taking forever to render. Let's go down a little bit more. 4.5.
You think the 7's too much?
Yeah, a little bit too much. Okay. Now we just got to change the shape of their heads. So I want GG. Let's
Is there different shades of black?
Yeah, I can change it on the shadow in here. They could be purple, they could be whatever, they could be gray.
I was gonna say, I feel like if you had like a notch off from black, it might feed into it better.
Let's see what this render looks like with some gray. Yeah, then they become
shadows. Yeah.
Yeah, a little bit. Maybe intensity.
So the black is really.
There we go.
There you go. Yeah.
Yeah, that's better. And they don't have to be so in frame either. So we're just going to go back to the GL view and maybe just like that and like that. And the thing is, we can add some movement to them too so that you know that they're people.
Yeah. She's not just seeing shadow people.
But yeah, let's like add some hair to GG. Let's go to the head peg. Let's hit O. And we're on the head drawing layer. And let's affect both the line and the color art. And let's change this head shape to be a bit more human.
There it is.
Oh boy. And we're going to just add some like hair or something. It really doesn't matter what we do right here as long as it's like it's really more about what's going on right here. Hold on, let's do actually that was terrible. Let's do this. And kind of like this. Right, and then just dump a fill in. Because now we can see. Whoa, that was weird. See? Now it's a person. Now it's not an alien. It's a big difference.
It really is.
Yeah. And we'll do the same thing for Jake. We'll just make him not a big, stupid alien head. This part, this lump. That's what really does it. So.
Joe, you don't want him to hear
hear you talking about their heads that way.
Shh. Go to transform tool, click on his head, we'll go to O. Now we're on his layer there. We'll affect both. We'll take the lumps out.
That's how you differentiate between humans and aliens. We have much lumpier heads.
Maybe we'll give him a hat. Yeah, maybe we'll give him a hat or something. Let's try that. Like, a hat. Oh, and then, let's see what that looks like.
A yoga hat.
Boom. So yeah, they're very foreground. And they're very, yeah. Because now what I could do, okay, so let's go to the top side. All right, so I want to get Jake. Let's do this. So now that you can see that Jake, he's actually on the line with these guys, and I want to bring him forward in the three-dimensional space, but I don't want him to actually get bigger like this would. Now he's like slightly bigger, so what I want to do is you use this maintain size. So he's going to look the same there, but I'm going to be able to bring him forward. Because see, now I could bring him way forward in the picture. So he's maintained his size in there, but he's way up front. Because now if I move the camera, things change.
You'll go past him.
Yeah, things change quite a bit. So
Is that the plan? You're going to move in past these people doing yoga to be more centered on?
Yeah, that's a shot I'm going to do. So I'm going to bring him to about right there. I'm going to do the same thing with Gigi. Do a maintain size to here. And then we'll play around then. So now we'll add in a camera. And then you put a peg on that camera. So now you see that the camera is yellow in the field of vision. And if I move the camera forward, now it'll go to like there. Yeah, so I kind of want them up farther so I can get past them sooner.
Make it hers. You probably got past soon enough. I would just move Jake's.
Yeah.
'Cause the way you went in, she came out of the picture quicker.
Yeah. So. Yeah, let's move him in. Now let's go to the camera peg. And if I moved in to there, like that's my shot, right? So yeah, it'll just be like a slow moving inward pan to like there. That's pretty good. So yeah, that'll happen over time. It'll be going in, the bird will go by, you'll see her, you'll see the shadows move a little bit. We'll give them a little bit of movement. And they'll go past in the foreground and the clouds will be moving. That should be enough.
Yeah.
And then just have her sitting in a crisscross applesauce.
Crisscross applesauce, baby.
And that'll be a nice little shot. So let's save that, and
nothing like getting zapped into a spaceship from crisscross applesauce position.
Yeah, we'll call it a wrap. Oh, See, now there's peg information going on with those two.
When they're moving.
Yeah, so let's go back to Jake and Gigi. Let's delete peg information. So now they're there. Okay. So we should be good there. Yeah, now we can save. So when we go to do the scene, we'll be good. All right.
Cool.
So now you kind of get an understanding of layers.
A little bit better.
Yeah.
Ever so slightly.
Yeah. Once we go into the rig, let's see. We've got the ocean waves. We've got the street now. We've got the park. We've got to get the farm.
Yep.
For Mac.
It picks up Mac.
And that's pretty much it.
Yep.
Maybe we'll do the farm next, and then we'll go into the characters. And then
just keep going with settings. So
yeah, and then we'll build our way to the tough stuff, which is the character rigs, which will take a lot more time if we go a bit more full on into the rigs themselves. So
cool.
Yeah. All right. Thanks, guys. Thanks for watching. You know what to do. You hit number 7.
I was testing you.